Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Sports Desk episode. I'm your host, Payton on the radio, and I'm alongside of my co-host, SteelFlyers, as we got another action-packed episode for you guys, as we're going to be talking a little bit about the French Grand Prix. Sadly passing away in Tom Korver. And not just that, we got the draft lottery coming up and tons of great NHL hockey to talk about, and not just that, basketball as well. So we got a pretty action-packed episode ahead of us. So Steel, we'll get right on into it. How you doing today, bud?
Oh man, I'll tell you what, I'm excited about another great show. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We have a lot of things to get into, and you know what they say: a short time to get there, right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
so we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna slam it right into seventh gear here. And speaking of seventh gear, we got the great Dutchman Max Verstappen winning the French Grand Prix. Was able to take over in the last remaining 2 laps to overtake Hamilton for the win. And so that puts him commandingly in the drivers' championship lead. That also changes around the driver or the constructors' championship too, where Red Bull now is gaining on Mercedes. So, congratulations to Verstappen on that one. Good win for him. Hamilton came in second, so was able to get the second on that one too. And then I believe it was Perez for the other Red Bull to come in third. Pretty exciting race, and congratulations to Verstappen. He's taking the lead now in the drivers' championship, and they're moving on here. So a couple of races here in the next couple of weeks. So they're trying to get this all in here before the summer break is usually when that happens in August. So they try to stack up a bunch of races until they get to that forced break through the FIA. So there you go. Max Verstappen wins the French Grand Prix.
Yeah, tons of great F1 coming up there, and especially that French Grand Prix with Verstappen winning there. As we'll move on to the next one, as former Habs and Leafs defenseman Tom Korver passed away yesterday at the age of 58. He unfortunately passed away from lung cancer, which we were talking about in the last episode with Oscar Lindblom. Being able to get through it. Unfortunately, Tom Korver was not able to. And he was at the time serving as assistant general manager for his hometown in the Minnesota Wild for the past 3 seasons. Was building up a huge reputation. He won the Hobby Baker Award when he was in the with Minnesota Duluth there for his university. Great player. Unfortunately, that he passed away so early. He's survived by his wife and 4 children. And I hope his family is doing well in this time.
Prayers out to the family. This is never a good time at all, especially when you have a loved one like that. So, pretty awesome little career there. Pretty nice little going on there in Minnesota, being the assistant GM there for them for the last 3 seasons. Minnesota has been on the uptick, especially making it to the playoffs this year. They played much better than what anybody expected them to play. You know what I mean? And so, but that has a lot to do with, the ownership and the leadership up there. And he was part of that leadership up there with being the assistant general manager. So, yeah, that's a real shame. And prayers out to the family.
Yeah, and not just that, Tom Korver has put together a pretty good career too. He was a great defenseman, playing some great time with the Canadiens, putting up some great numbers with the Islanders, and also won a Stanley Cup in 1986 there with the Montreal Canadiens. So, pretty great career there for Tom Korver. Not very many people can say that they won a Stanley Cup, but he was able to.
Yeah, that's exactly true, because even just to have your name engraved on that chalice, I mean, that's forever. That name stays on there. You can't take that name away, no matter what. You know what I mean? And that's a shame. And definitely too young. Definitely too young.
Really
58,
is.
58 is way too young. So real shame about that.
As we'll move on to our next story, as we have the NFL ending of the OTAs, which I think this is the ending of the camps, if I'm correct, right, Steele?
Yes, the little mini camps. They have little mini camps or OTAs that last for 3 days. You know what I mean? And so they're coming to the end. A lot of the teams are coming to the end of these. And then they'll have that little like 6 week break until you get to the start of training camps, which are usually the end of July.
Oh yeah. So we're getting close to the NFL season coming back. That means then. So I've been hearing tons of rumors about Aaron Rodgers and all that. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
excited to see what will be happening in the next couple weeks there for the NFL.
For sure. With the draft that just happened in April, that was a huge success for the NFL, where they were able to actually have a live draft this year
Wow.
as compared to last year where they had a virtual draft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they did have a live draft this year. It was in Cleveland. So it went really well. It was very well attended. Especially with everything that's going on, the pandemic and, everything else like that. So, but pretty exciting. So, getting closer and closer to snapping the ball here in anger, which is in, September. So, I mean, they start preseason games at the beginning of August. So, like I said, getting closer and closer to snapping the ball in anger. So, we're always for that.
Which should be exciting because we should be seeing like the crowds being full. All right, all the stands should be full for the new NFL season, which will be just absolutely electric to watch half of those games.
Exactly. Well, look, we talked about it in our last show with how just having the fans in the stands for the NHL playoffs
Oh, it's massive.
Has been a major shift in feel and everything else like that for the game. You know what I mean? So, just having full capacity fans is going to be, and look, we're not just talking about the NFL as well, because that's part of it, but we also get to be the NHL as well and the AHL and college. Okay. And so having all those teams having all those leagues and everything open up, that gets all those people that work the concessions back to work. That gets all those people that, I mean, there's people out there that, do those jobs that need to be done, that clean the bathrooms, that sweep up, that clean up after the games, that sell the concessions, that all those things. That's all part of it. That's all part of keeping the economy going for that area, and keeping those people working is all part of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm excited about, is getting those folks back to work and getting that back rolling again. You know what I mean? That's what I'm really, that's why it's really more exciting to have fans back. You know what I mean?
I think it's just exciting to see the economy slowly growing with, the evolution of sports going up and just about everything. It's just really exciting. We're getting slowly back to normal, which also coming up in our next story, we got the NBA draft lottery, which is coming at you today at 8:30 Eastern. This is a pretty big draft lottery, as the top pick in the draft for the estimated one is Cade Cunningham, who is the big number one overall guy that they're kind of looking at. Evan Mobley, Jalen Green, and also Jalen Suggs is also in this draft as well. So we got, of course, Houston Astros, Detroit, and Orlando all tied for the number one odds for the first overall pick. Houston and Detroit have their picks protected. For Houston, it's 1-4. So if they stay around in that 1-4 area, they're going to be keeping that pick for themselves.
Well,
yeah. Detroit's 1-16. So they're basically keeping their pick no matter what. Because they won't be able to drop to that 16th overall selection. So overall, that's everything else. It looks like it's going to be a pretty fun draft lottery. I'm hoping my Toronto Raptors are able to jump up a little bit. Most likely not, but we could have our hopes and prayers.
Yeah, hey, and they do the same thing that what they do in the NHL, where they draft, they pull like the lottery balls. They put the lowest seeded group of teams into a special lottery, and then they pick those teams, and they get the first 16 picks, right, based off of how they finish. Okay, kind of like what the NHL does. And then the rest are based off of how you finish as far as where you finish in the standings.
Okay? Yeah, and this is going to be a pretty fun draft as well. Golden State
seems
has
deeper.
some big
It
picks.
seems a little deeper too. Like there's more players available that could be number one draft picks as compared to the last, say, 2 or 3 years where there's only really been those 1 or 2 guys.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's it. After that, it drops off. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that should be exciting. You know, that should
be really exciting. Golden State has 2 picks up in the lottery. Same with OKC. If, of course, Houston drops out, that means OKC might have 2 picks in that top 10, which would just be absolutely mind-blowing, as we were talking about OKC a while ago, about how they have like 17 first-round draft picks. Well, they could have 3 if Houston stays in the top 4. If Houston comes out of the top 4, they could have a potential of 4 first-round picks in this upcoming draft, which is just absolutely insane.
Wow.
For the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I guess that's how you do it. I mean, if you're trying to build through the draft, I mean, the best thing you could do is acquire first-round draft picks because, let's face it, in all of sports, it doesn't matter which league you're in, usually the first-round players are the ones with the best shot, the best odds of making the team for longer than 2 or 3 seasons, you know? So, I mean, that's why it's always good to have a stockpile of first-round picks because most of all your players that actually make the league. I'm not saying that, lower round players don't, but you have much better odds of getting a successful player that's going to make your team, that's going to be a contributor to your team if you pick them in the first round as compared to picking them in the 5th or 6th or 7th round.
Yeah, it is very rare you get like a huge, highly touted prospect that comes along in your way anyways. It is very rare that it happens. So let's move on to the next story as we got the 76ers. They have been eliminated from the playoffs in the second round to the Atlanta Hawks. This happened on Sunday. Now the Hawks will be moving on to the next round to face the Milwaukee Bucks, which we did not think that we're going to move on, but they beat the Nets. So we're going to be having the Hawks versus the Bucks. But the 76ers, they lost. And Ben Simmons, well, he was nowhere to be found once again, afraid to be fouled because he cannot hit the net from the 2-point line, apparently. And it was just a rough night for the 76ers. They just weren't able to buckle it down once again near the end of the game, and it's just their inconsistent star.
Ben Simmons in the last 3 games, all total, had less than 25 points. Okay, now
it's crazy.
I don't know about you, man, but when you're brought in to be the man, and you have 25 points in 3 games, that's not being the man. I'm sorry, it's just call
it's
it
not.
like
I remember I was watching some of the highlights, and he would be close enough to dunk, and it'd be past it because he was afraid of being fouled. He did not want to go to that 2-point line and take those shots because he knew most of the time he was not going to hit those shots. So he would have just been a waste to shoot those 2 shots. So he just passed it. He had 13 assists on the night, but he only had 5 points in an elimination game when you're one of the biggest players on your team and Joel Embiid is carrying your team to that victory. It's not something you want to be known, and especially even Doc Rivers, the head coach for the 76ers, was showing his frustration about the point guard not doing anything for the team. And same with his teammate in Embiid. They don't even know if they got a point guard that could take them to that next step, which is a championship, which is what the 76ers want.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why they drafted the way they did. I mean, they were, because they were bad for so long, they were able to get some number 1 draft picks here, and they're just, I'm sorry, but the guy's just not walking the line, I guess. But yeah, they were eliminated now, and so you're done. And there was a lot of hope for the Sixers this year. They looked like they were a really good team. They won the East this year. You know what I mean, as far as having the best record as far as in the East is concerned. So I mean So what happened, man? What, the tires fell off?
It's the playoffs. It happens in every sport. Sometimes you just they just don't have that playoff muscle in you to be able to put it
That's a
together,
good
like
way to put it.
that killer instinct that I always say that you need
that
to
warrior.
have.
Got to be the warrior. Got to have
Ben
that warrior.
Simmons was not that warrior for the
Nope.
76ers. So we'll move on to our last story, as we got a pretty happy, lighthearted story to end it off, as Wayne Gretzky and also Steve Nash announced as co-owners for the Las Vegas NLL franchise, which is a national lacrosse league.
Yeah.
Also, as well, Joe Tasai and including golf star Dustin Johnson is going to be also co-owners for this franchise as well.
So quite a large group of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this will be the new expansion franchise, of course, for the Las Vegas team going into lacrosse. It was a pretty cool little thing that they had. Gretzky was throwing the ball around with the lacrosse. I thought that was really cool. Steve Nash was there. I thought it's just a great way to grow the lacrosse game, because honestly, it's a fun game. It's a very physical, brutal game, but it's a lot of fun to watch and play.
Isn't it actually the national game of Canada?
It is, yes. Actually, it is one of the national games of Canada, funny enough. I think so.
Okay, all right. So I wasn't completely out on left field on that one, right? Because see, a lot of people would think that, curling would be.
It's actually, well, it's recognized as one of the national summer sports.
Oh, all right. Okay, so you have a differentiation between summer and winter sports.
Yeah. Yeah, all like right, our hockey is our winter sport, and then for summer we got lacrosse.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Lacrosse is pretty big in this area, especially like you go to some of the arenas. It is insane.
Same thing here.
Some of the lacrosse games.
Yeah, same thing here in the States. Yeah, it's growing in the States because there are really good college teams here in the States that are really good at lacrosse. Okay, there's NCAA championships, the whole 9 yards. I mean, so lacrosse is a much underreported, maybe, underappreciated, maybe. It's not like, it's not one of the big four, obviously.
No.
You know what I mean? But it's like that. Everybody says, oh, soccer. But soccer is one of the most followed sports in the world. And then people were like, well, what's number two? And number two, followed closely behind, is Formula One.
Oh yeah,
is followed more. Because you can, when you go to a race, you can 120 some thousand people can be at the race, just at the race. That's a lot of people at a race, on average, on average. And then you have multiple millions of people watching it at home. I mean, hey, and it's worldwide. It's not like it's just North America. It's not like it's just Canada. It's not like it's just, Europe. It's worldwide. So it's a huge market. And I think lacrosse would do well to tap into that, because it's a major sport.
It is growing. It only just started. Its inaugural season was in 1987. Like, this is a pretty new sport compared to the NHL, NBA, NFL, all those other sports. This is a pretty new sport, that a brand new league, right? Now, it is slowly growing, and especially with Las Vegas coming in, and what Gretzky and Steve Nash are doing is only going to help grow this league as well. Nash also and Gretzky also have been sports owners as well. They have a little bit of experience. Nash was also a co-owner of a Major League Soccer, the Vancouver Whitecaps for the MLS, and Gretzky is a part owner, or was a co-owner of the CFL's Toronto Argonauts as well in the early 1990s as well.
Okay. Well, there you have it, man. I'll tell you what. That's the other couple things that I want to mention as well, because that's really cool. I'm glad to see that they're growing that. And Gretzky's stepping into that. And with him, most guys that are good with hockey sticks tend to usually be good with other kinds of sticks, like lacrosse sticks. I mean, I've just seen it. It's a good crossover, you know.
It is.
I've seen, and it's almost set up the same way too, where but I believe there's a little bit more guys on the field. Like there's 9 guys on the field, I think.
Think so.
Or something crazy like that, right? Instead of only 5 with hockey. You know what I mean? So, but you still have guys that are defensemen, you still have guys that are forwards, right? And the goals that they have to put that ball into are not very big. Okay, I get it. It's a very small ball and everything like that, but still, you have to get past the goalie. You know, so and there's a lot of physicality, shall we say?
Oh yeah, there's a lot
game.
of physicality. There is some big rocking hits in this league. Like it's some physical hockey. Like these guys do not let down like at all.
No,
they take it a level higher than what hockey takes it.
Could you imagine these guys on skates? Like, could you imagine them at 21 miles an hour?
Oh,
I mean,
man,
they're only running at you full speed. Could you imagine them skating at you full speed? That's like 26, 27 miles an hour coming at you. That's a truck.
It is a truck coming at you.
I would not want to be on the other end of that.
No. These games are brutal. Like if you go to some of the games, you get excited even as a fan watching these games because of how physical it gets and how brutal it gets. It's just some real fun stuff to watch. And whenever you have a chance to go and watch a lacrosse game, even if it's not one of the national leagues, go and watch it because you'll be entertained by these by lacrosse. It's an entertaining game.
Yeah.
And I've never been personally to one. I would love to be.
I haven't either, yeah.
But it sounds like a lot of fun, these lacrosse games. I've watched a couple on TV. I almost even tried it for myself, but I'm like, I'm too skinny. I don't want to be killed out there. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, hey, a wise man once said that a wise man has to know his limitations. Okay. And so look, that's why, you know, I'm in the same boat. You don't see 5'10", 186-pound centers in the NFL, do you?
Nope.
There's a reason why you don't. Okay, because they would get killed. Okay, that's why you don't see those guys like that. So that's why I made it to high school and that was it. You know. So, but I really I'm excited about some of that stuff too. So I'm also excited about these NHL playoffs.
Oh man, they have been exciting.
Holy smokes! Look, in our next segment, we're going to get into our scoreboard here, but I had to bring this up because who would have thunk Montreal would be able to just ride side by side with Vegas and not even break a sweat?
I know, it's amazing. The series is tied up at 2, which we're definitely going to be getting really deep into these games, you know, in the scoreboard, talking about the refs, it just about everything. But it is so far a super exciting series between these two teams. Even when Later jumped in, he was fantastic. And not even just
great
that.
Call, though. That was a great call to do that.
The Lightning game last night was... It was like watching a murder live on TV last night. The Lightning just went out there and put a beating to the Islanders last night.
Remember when I said, and we talked about it too on the show, when the first game, the Islanders went down to Tampa Bay and just said, wham, and punched him in the face, right? Well, so Tampa Bay last night said, oh, so you want to punch us in the face, right? I think they basically put the Islanders over their knee last night and just kind of spanked them. I mean, there's no other way to... The fact that they chased Varlamov in the first period.
Oh, my Lord.
Not even all the way through the first period. I mean, the first half of the first period, like, what? Huh? There's a new goalie. Wow. Oh, okay. That's pretty serial.
Even then, with the new goalie, like Sjorkin, when he went in there, it didn't matter. Tampa Bay was just out there for blood. They did
don't
not care at all. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about these games in the upcoming scoreboards.
Wow. Talk about a statement game, though.
Oh,
Talk
without a doubt.
Without
a doubt, a statement game. I think Trotz has to change his game plan going into next game. Either that or Islanders are going to be too scared to even come back.
I don't know. And I really think that Montreal doesn't. I mean, they're trying to say that Duchamp is going to try to come back to the team to coach because right now he's out due to COVID protocol. But and they're saying that he's trying to come back, which I mean, they apparently don't need him because they're doing okay without him. Montreal has been opportunistic, and they have taken advantage of their situation more so than what I think Vegas has. And Vegas looked flat in some sections of games where they looked really flat. You know what I mean? And Montreal just hasn't. So
yeah, and I think that's usually how it is with an underdog team. Underdogs always just seem to you play for nothing, basically. If you lose, you lose. It doesn't matter. If you win, that's awesome. For Vegas, it's it's do or die. If you lose this series, you failed that year. Yeah. You want to win that cup. That's your one goal. If you lose, you fail. Right. This is especially for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Right. That's why they came out there and proved that they want that Stanley Cup no matter what. If it means that they got to score, if it means that they got to score 8 goals in a row and absolutely embarrass you, that's what they're going to do to go out there and win that Stanley Cup.
I'll tell you what. And boy, did they do that. I can't. Oh, man. I mean, I didn't really get a chance to turn the game on until after that whole first period. And I turned on the game and I went, whoa, wow, it's this score already? Wow, it just started oh wait, that's not even the starting goaltender. Oh man. Okay, I better rewind this and take a look and see what happened. And all right, I'm sorry I did. If you're a New York Islanders fan, I'm sorry, but if you're a Tampa Bay fan, man, welcome to the statement game here in this playoffs. I think this was it for them here for sure, and it's not boding well for the Islanders for the next game. It's just not. I mean, when you come out and lose like this, they have a shot.
They do have a shot, especially if you take a look at game 1 between Vegas and Colorado, where it was Colorado's beat down 7-4. So you never know what might happen. Maybe the Islanders will be able to crack it down and come back in game 6. We'll have to see.
And it's going to be in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I think it's in Tampa Bay.
Because last game was just in Tampa Bay.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Huh. So game 7.
Oh, yeah, game 6, right.
Game 7 will be back in Tampa Bay, but this game here is going to be back in New York. So
my mistake.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. So we're going to get into our scoreboard here after a quick word from our great and wonderful sponsor. That would be Canine Country Club Resorts. We really appreciate the fact that they sponsor the show and sponsor the network and everything that we're doing here at SteelFlyers. You can check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. You can also check them out on Facebook. Give them a call. Get your grooming booked. They've got professional groomers there, but they're booked out, so you better give them a call if you want to get your pets looking their best. And they also have the outdoor pool is open, so give them a call to get some pool time, and now it's vacation. Time, so you can also schedule to have your pets boarded there, also your cats too. So give them a call, check them out online, www.cccresorts.com, and thank you very much. We'll be right back after this. Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. They've taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. Both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Sports Desk with Payton and Steel. And I'm your co-host, Steel Flyers. And our host, Payton, is here as well. And we're going to get right into the scoreboard after checking out our sponsor. So appreciate that. www.cccresorts.com. Check them out on the web or on Facebook. So Payton, all right, my man. This is our we love this part, man. This is the scoreboard. This is where we get to have some fun.
It is our fun. This is we got lots of stuff to talk about. We got round 3 that we're going to be starting to talk about for the NBA, which is super exciting, which we're going to be talking about Sunday's games, as there was no games on Monday. Which kind of sucks because we always like talking about sports just anytime, and there was no games on Monday.
Well, there was one game.
Yeah, but
there
we
was
do have
one game, the hockey game
on Sunday.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, there was a hockey game. That's all that matters.
Woo.
But if you're an NBA
was there
fan,
a hockey game?
Oh. there was a little bit of a murder on national TV last night.
If you're a fan of goals, If you're a fan of goals from one team only,
Yeah,
you're going to be in luck because, boy, oh boy.
there was a lot of them.
There was a lot of
So
them.
let's get off first to the NBA scoreboard as we'll get into the Sunday's games. As first up, we got the Los Angeles Clippers going up against the Phoenix Suns, and they walked away the Suns with a 120-114 victory. It was a very close game, but the Suns were able to pull it out. Of course, Kawhi Leonard missed game one again, and he will miss game two for tonight's game between the Clippers and the Suns. Also, as well, Chris Paul missed game one as well, and he will also miss game two. He's been out with the COVID protocol, so he will be missing game two as well. But Devin Booker absolutely stepped up, put up a triple-double, 40 points on the night, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, just playing, without a doubt, one of his best nights. DeAndre Ayton as well did good. Paul George, you got to give him. He had another good night as well, 34 points on the night, played well. Just not as good as Devin Booker, as he was just all over the place for the Phoenix Suns, playing an absolutely amazing game here for game one of the Suns, and they took the series lead, and what a start for the Phoenix Suns already.
Yeah, this is definitely going to, this is what they needed to do. Now, especially with Kawhi Leonard out, that's really hurting the Clippers big time. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because not only is he offensive, but he's also defensive.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I guarantee you that if Kawhi Leonard was playing, Devin Booker would not have had 40 points.
Oh, yeah. Kawhi Leonard is he's won Defensive Player of the Year multiple times. He is a big defensive player for the Clippers. And without him in the lineup, I remember him in Toronto. He is a player that just changes your team. Yeah. He really is. He's a player that
you have to plan for him.
Mm-hmm. And not even just that, his championship experience is so different. Like, it's only a 6-point differential. And if Kawhi Leonard was in that game, it wouldn't have been that. It would have been a totally different score between these two teams. So the Suns are really taking advantage of it, and they need to. You know, they need to take these early games real quick with Kawhi Leonard being at the lineup. So if Devin Booker is able to put up a triple-double, which is his first ever career triple-double, and it happened in the playoffs. So, I mean, Devin Booker's really coming out as a superstar here for the Suns, and it's just amazing to watch because he is just putting up some great performances there. And what a great start for the Suns, sweeping their opponents in the second round, coming in to the conference finals and winning game one against the Clippers is just great there for the Suns.
Yeah, that's 5 games in a row now that they've won. Mm-hmm. Okay, you know what I mean? Now, Chris Paul being out and missing game one and also missing game two, that hurts. But if Kawhi Leonard is not in, it doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? So it doesn't hurt as much as that there. So, all right. Well, there you go. Man. That was the start. That was the start of the third round. Okay.
Yeah. That was the start of the third round.
So that was the start of the third round.
Yeah. And this will be the ending of this for the second round as the Hawks moved past the 76ers, which we talked about in our top stories, as the Hawks win the series in game 7, 4-3. They'll be advancing on to the third round to take on the Bucks, which I think will be happening on Wednesday. Yes. This game was a tough one, which we already talked about the 76ers. So let's talk about the Hawks and how great they've been.
Yeah, right.
Trae Young posted another double-double, 21 points, 10 assists. He wasn't that big of a guy, but Kevin Hunter he stepped up big time for the Hawks. And not just that, Gallinari, just their entire team played really good against the 76ers. Playing good defensively.
But that's what I think won this series for them, is their bench, the Hawks.
Oh, yeah. Gallinari was all over the place. I think a lot of the times that we were doing these scoreboards, we were talking about Gallinari getting 17, on the list. 18 points each game, or Trae Young putting up 40 boards. I mean, Trae Young was all over the place. This team is just a real strong team, and I'm really excited to see what happens between the Hawks and the Bucks. We get to see Giannis Antetokounmpo take on Trae Young. So it's going to be a pretty exciting series in round 3. And then on the other side, of course, we got the Clippers versus the Suns, which will be happening tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern for game 2. Will the Suns take a 2-0 series lead, or will the Clippers be able to tie the series back up at a 1? We'll have to see what happens tonight between the Clippers and Suns. So let's move on to the exciting stuff. The NHL scoreboard.
Not that the NBA playoffs aren't exciting.
No, they have been pretty exciting, especially since there's not just one distinct team gonna look like they're gonna
away with it.
Yeah, like the Golden State Warriors or the Cavaliers. This time, there's 4 identical teams that could take that championship and could all win it, basically.
Exactly.
So let's jump into the NHL scoreboards as Vegas Golden Knights took on the Montreal Canadiens, and the Golden Knights won in overtime with a game-winning goal from Nicholas Roy as they won 2-1 and tied up the series back up at 2. This was pretty exciting. Ron Lehner got the start in this game. He did pretty good, a .964 save percentage. The Canadiens also did pretty well in this game, and I thought they did pretty well. I thought they dominated the Vegas Golden Knights, played better than what the Golden Knights did.
Yeah,
and
for most of the game.
There was a lot of chatter about the refs and the refs this, refs that. And you take a look at the numbers. The Vegas Golden Knights have had more power play time than the Canadiens. You take a look at this game, though, it was pretty even between power play chances, 2 power plays for each team. But do you think the refs have been blowing it, or is this just an every year thing? Because I don't think it's just been this year. I think it's just been an every year thing that people talk about over the media.
Well, here's the thing and it always comes down to that. I am not a fan of black and white jerseys deciding games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so it's not about the black and white jerseys. It's about the guys that are playing out there on the ice, and it's not about those black and white jerseys. Now, if you're and the reason why this is such a hot topic is because there's no consistency from one game to the next. There's no consistency from one group of referees to the next, and or from one year to the next. Like the perfect example was the Tampa Bay Carolina, or the Carolina first series in Carolina.
Oh, Nashville?
Yeah, against Nashville.
Yes.
Right, there was 11 penalties called that night. And then in the same night, the Edmonton Oilers are playing against Toronto, or I can't remember who.
Winnipeg. And there was only like 1 penalty.
1 penalty. What? 1? The level, the inconsistencies of the referees is. That's why this is such a hot topic. That's why this is such an issue, because there is so much inconsistency. If you were just to have these guys say, look, it's the playoffs, we're tucking the whistle in the pocket, which you see a lot of that. But the stuff that they're calling is so ticky-tack that it's like, I can't believe you're not calling the blatant obvious stuff and that you're calling this little ticky-tacky stuff.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, the thing is, putting your whistle away only works so long, right? Like, I remember Chris Lee saying, keep the clock running. That's something you do when it's not the NHL. You drop the puck with 3 seconds left because 3 seconds could mean a goal. So why are you saying keeping the play going when there's a brawl happening right in front of you and you don't pull anyone out of the scrum? How does that not make any sense? How do you see Joel Edmondson carry it into the boards and you don't call anything? How do you watch McNabb punch Suzuki right in the mouth and you don't call anything?
Don't call it. Looking right at it.
How do you call Deneau hooking someone, but it wasn't even a hook? How do you call those certain calls? Now, I know I'm an Oilers fan, and I've seen Canadians get nothing called throughout the entire regular season, and now they're getting nothing called against them, and they're not getting their way with the refs. And it seems like it's so inconsistent. There's some games where the refs are right beside that team, and then there's other games where that ref is just totally against that team. And this game seemed like it was just inconsistent reffing on both sides. There was a lot of missed calls. And not just even saying that the Canadians. It was the refs and the Golden Knights versus the Canadians. It was just the refs being very horrible the entire game and making some very bad decisions. And whenever there was a penalty call, it was not a very good penalty call. And they need to talk with these refs or something. Put up a new group. But even then, when there's a new group that goes out there, they just seem to be very inconsistent again. And there's a mixed line of what's being called in the regular season compared to being in the playoffs. And we, even as fans, I don't even know what the rule book is anymore. I think I know what the rule book is, but sometimes I don't even know by watching these refs half the time.
You can't. How can you? How could you possibly know what a hook is when you look at each referee and each referee calls it different across the board, right? If you lined up all 27 referees or however many of them there are, right? And I guarantee you that if you show them tape on a hook, you'll get a certain percentage of them that'll call that and a certain percentage of them that won't. That's just human nature. It's just the way it is. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's where I'd like to see the NHL do more of the adjustments. We're trying to take the referees making the decisions out of the game. Where if you're going to make these certain calls, then have some kind of backup to verify. Okay? Where they do these challenges, they're able to go back and look at the tape and say, oh, yeah, that guy was offsides. You know what I'm saying? So they're getting those right. Look, I know it slows down the game. Okay, and it's never good when the game slows down because now players have to kind of readjust and get back into it and whatever. But I would much rather them take the time and get it right than just willy-nilly be like, yeah, nope, we're good, keep playing or whatever the case. You know what I'm saying? I would much rather them get it right.
It really did seem like the refs just wanted to go home. They were rolling the clock every time near the end of the period.
Come on,
they
guys.
really.
I got coffee at home, yeah.
Let's go. I got to get home.
Yeah, right. I got to take my dog out or something. You know what I mean?
I got food on the table. I got to get going.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go. Let's go. Look, I'll tell you what, though. Still, Montreal playing lockstep, right, with Vegas. It's been quite impressive what Montreal has done in these playoffs. The fact that they made it to the playoffs. Kudos to Montreal. They had the biggest turnaround in the offseason with the number of players that came in and out of the lineup and everything else like that. Halfway through the season, they changed their coaching staff. What? Huh? Who does that? And they're still look what they're doing now. You know what I mean? So it's like
it's nuts. It really is. And what a great shot there from Roy, taking advantage of Price Sproulin.
He's been playing really well these playoffs. Roy for Vegas, yeah, he's been playing really well too.
He has been, especially for that depleted center depth for the Golden Knights. This was a huge game going for them. Going back to Vegas for Game 5 between those two guys, which will be happening today at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Game 5 between the Golden Knights and the Canadians. It should be a awesome game. We get to see the rocking crowd there in Vegas. It should be a fun one, which we'll hop over to the other series for Monday's game between the New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning, which was just a demolition derby is what I like to call this game. 8-0 for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they walk away with the series lead 3-2.
Oh, I like it.
When these games happen, it is a demolition derby. They're going out there with no intent at any mercy. They wanted to finish this game off.
That's a hard crash and burn. That's a hard crash and burn for the Islanders, man, to absorb this. Look, everybody all says the same thing. Oh, yeah, there's positives in a loss. No, really. Really, the only positives in the losses is that you realize that you stunk for that night. Okay? So you better look. The only thing they can do now is get better. So that's the only positive in a loss is that you're at the bottom. You can only get better now. You know what I mean? So this, to me, I think, though, I said it when we talked about it in the top stories, I believe this was a statement game for Tampa Bay. We have been talking about how Tampa Bay is one of those teams that will let the other teams dictate how things are going to go, and then they just adjust to how the other team's doing it, and then they just completely overpower you. Where, like, if you want to be a run-and-gun team, they can be a run-and-gun team. If you want to be that forechecking, play it in the corners and bang up against the walls, they can be that.
Yeah.
If you want to trap and clog up the neutral zone, they can be like that too.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't matter what New York is throwing at them. Tampa Bay has been able to roll with those punches and play, it doesn't matter. They can still do what they need to do. What's really scary is the number of shots on goal for Tampa Bay compared to the Islanders and the score. Now, if that doesn't jump off the page at you, folks,
it was crazy. I think it was like 33 to 20. It was insane for Tampa Bay. Like they were flying or 42 shots to 21 shots of the New York Islanders. I think it was like 0.5% for the New York Islanders on the deserve to win-o-meter. Like the Tampa Bay deserved to win this game by 99%, and I've never seen something like that analytically where a team just dominates. Yeah, and Tampa Bay just took over. Like even Steven Stamkos was flying.
Yeah, he had 2 goals.
That's 2 goals, 1 assist. Yeah. Right? Like this was a guy that, wasn't very talked about compared to Point and Kucherov. Everyone was talking about those guys. Everyone wasn't really talking about Stamkos. I was even seeing people trading Steven Stamkos on cap friendly because they were like, "Oh, we need to clear cap, so we're throwing out Stamkos." I'm like, "What the heck are you guys thinking?"
What are you doing?
Is a national. He's a gem. He's a great goal scorer, and he just proved it once again that, whenever they need him, he's going to go out there and pot a couple. And he was definitely flying all around. Same with Alex Kilroy as well. He had a nice 2 goals and 1 assist for himself as well.
I agree. And what a difference in Brayden Point this year, because last year during the playoffs, he was hurt and wasn't quite playing all the way up to full 100%, because he even missed a couple games there. In some of the series where against the Islanders last year. So having him back and healthy and playing well, being one of the top scorers for them, has been another huge plus for Tampa Bay, I think, this year. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. He was a big producer last year for them in the playoffs, and once again, he's just such a big guy. And you really did see the New York frustration kick in this game, which we haven't talked about it yet. But Matthew Barzal got ejected from the game after he cross-checked Jan Rota in the face, which was absolutely brutal. Jan Rota collapsed down to the ice. I don't think anything bad happened to him, but it was a brutal. I think the frustration was just kind of taking over.
That's
Barzal.
what I think it was. Yeah, and that's what I think it was.
People were saying that it's a game. I think it's as good that it. I don't think it's really suspension worthy. It's just in the frustration of the game. You kind of get in with a guy. You're losing 6-8-0 at that point in time. I feel him.
But I still don't condone what he did.
No, it's definitely not condoned. You don't need to go and cross-check someone in the face because you're losing a game like this. You definitely need to take it more responsible and not take such a risk, because if you cross-check the guy and now you get suspended for next game, then you miss game 6, and that's an elimination game for you guys. So,
and you're one of the best guys on the team that is scoring and whatever else. So what are you doing? Smack!
It was dumb. It was a dumb thing by Barzal to do, without a doubt. Definitely not condoning it. It was dumb of him to do, especially late in the game. Just sit down, calm yourself down. I know it's definitely not the prettiest game to be in after being pummeled, but you got to have a better start than what you guys did. You got to help your goalie out. Like, the team just did not back it up. Like, I was remember every time I tuned into the game, there was a new goal. I'm like, wow, 3-0 already in the first period, and it was 13-3 for shots.
I know, that's what
and
I mean.
I'm like, New York, what are you guys doing? And in the second period, it's 6-0, and they just didn't do anything throughout the entire game. And Barzal used his frustration as a cross-check to the face when he should have been frustrated and playing a lot better than what he was. It was despicable there by the New York Islanders. They got to step it up going into the next game, or they're just going to be going back home once again here in the third round against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I have a feeling that that's what we might be seeing here, because I think this was that statement game, you know what I mean, for Tampa Bay. And it's hard to climb out of that hole.
It really is. It shocks Semyon Varlamov's confidence after, facing 16 shots and you just let in 3. and then Syorkin goes in there and gets pummeled with 5 goals. It's a rough night for both goalies and just the entire team. So we'll have to see what Barry Trotz says to these guys to, get their juices flowing again. But it's going to be tough to get that team back and energized, ready to go for Game 6. But they are back in Nassau, so who knows? Maybe the New York Islanders fans will be able to get them going again. But
we'll see.
Tampa Bay's looking crazy right now.
Yeah, and we know for a fact that there will be a Russian in net.
Oh yeah,
for the Islanders.
We know there will
be a Russian in net for the Islanders. So there you go.
and once again, Tuesday's upcoming game is between the Vegas Golden Knights as they go up against the Montreal Canadiens. That will be at 9 p.m. Eastern. The series is tied up at 2. It should be an exciting game. We'll have to see what happens if the people keep complaining about the refs or we get some insane a game once again, which I'm excited to see.
We're rolling the dice, man. We're going to Vegas and we're going to roll the dice, and it all depends on. It's like spin the wheel and see which refs show up. All right.
Yeah, a little bit of roulette. Let's see what happens.
No, don't do that. All right, man. We're moving on to our Major League Baseball scoreboard. There were a couple of games that were played here on Monday, and so we want to get into the Major League scoreboard. Mm-hmm. So, Payton, why don't you lead us off here with the first game?
Yeah, we got the Atlanta Braves going up against the New York Mets as the Mets walked away with a 4-2 victory. Now, these guys faced each other twice as it was a little makeup game for May 28th. But this was the first of them. The Mets walked away with a 4-2 win. Jacob deGrom was absolutely insane. 5 innings of work, and you could probably already see a 0.50 ERA, which is just insane to talk about. Miller was also the starting pitcher there for Atlanta. He didn't do as great, only giving up 1 earned run. Not too bad, but just not enough for the Braves to pull away with that first game. Hitting was pretty good. It was a pitching duel, though, between deGrom and Muller.
Yeah, it was his 12th straight start, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was his 12th straight start, too. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing. And he's been pitching really, really well. And that's really helping propel them.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Really helping to propel them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the Mets have they've been surprising this year, to say the least. This is a team that for years have been known to be a bad team. And now this year they've actually been able to put up some decent numbers, 37-29, at top of their division in the NL East with 4 games ahead of the Philadelphia Phillies. So they're in a great spot right now, which we'll get into the makeup game, which the Braves won 1-0 against the Mets. This was a big game for the Braves as they were able to kind of come back and win 1-0. It definitely was a low-hitting game once again between these two teams as the pitchers were out there throwing some mad balls. Anderson there, the winning pitcher there for the Atlanta Braves, had 5 strikeouts on the night, only giving up 3 hits. He had a great night for himself. And once again, the Braves with a 1-0 victory over the Mets.
Well, there you go, man. That's awesome. It's looking like, they had to do that makeup game, so that was kind of a back-to-back for them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But to see what deGrom has been doing, I mean, that's
insane.
And to see where the Mets have been this year too has been quite surprising, to be honest with you. As you said on many occasions, and we see that the Mets have not been the best. Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to the next game, that would be the Cleveland Indians. Were able to drop a big donut on the Chicago Cubs, 4-0.
Yeah, this is a big win for the Indians. They're only a couple games back of the Chicago White Sox right now, 2 games back. So this was a huge win for them. Not for the Cubs, though. The Cubs are right now tied with the Milwaukee Brewers, and they're not in a good situation right now. But the starting pitchers, they did not do terrible. I think it's Seville there for the Cleveland Indians. He was the starting pitcher there. Didn't do too bad. Didn't give any earned runs. 5 strikeouts on the night. But Azului there for the Chicago Cubs, he gave up 3 earned runs. Didn't have the greatest night in the world, and they were hitting dingers off of him. Bradley hit 1, and same with Naylor there for the Indians as they pulled all away with a big 4-0 victory there for the Cleveland Indians.
It's kind of funny though too, because they pulled even with them. Now they're both 40 and 33, so they're both even. Okay, yep. in the National League. Okay, and both of them, the Cubs are winning their division, but Cleveland is second to the White Sox, like you said, 2 games back. So yeah.
Yep. So we'll get into the next one, which this one was not a pitcher's duel, as the Texas Rangers went up against the Oakland Athletics, and the Athletics they lost 8-3. As the Rangers, they came out and played. They did not have the better record, but they came out and played like they were the better team. Montes got absolutely nailed out there. Gave up 9 hits, 8 earned runs he gave up with 6 strikeouts. Just got nailed. Kyle Gibson was just such the better pitcher, though. Only gave up 2 earned runs, 3 strikeouts on the night. He was the better pitcher, and the hitting was great for the Texas Rangers. They were absolutely smacking balls all over the place. Tell? And they pulled away with a big victory. The Oakland A's lost that one. And of course, this is kind of a bummer, because the Houston Astros, the next game that we're going to be talking about, pulled away with a huge 10-2 victory, and now are above the Oakland Athletics with 1 game ahead of them. And this was a demolition derby by the Houston Astros, which I kind of wanted to talk about this game because there was a no-hitter in this game almost. But then there was a rain delay and delayed the game. Belak came in and gave up 2 hits to the Orioles and broke the no-hitter for the Houston Astros. But Jake Odorizzo went into the game, gave up no hits, 9 strikeouts, was absolutely insane against the Baltimore Orioles. And this was a huge game for the Houston Astros, as they are now atop of the AL West with a 1-game lead. So that is huge to them as they just keep winning 8 games in a row.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know what I mean? And being one of the second best, tied for the second best record in all of baseball, 49. The San Francisco has the best record, 46-26, and the Dodgers and this team here that we're talking about, the Houston Astros, are both 44-28. So, man, Houston's looking strong this year. They just really are. You know what I mean?
They're coming out of nowhere right now. It seems like they were a little slow to start it off, and now 8 games in a row, and they just seem to just be catching a flame right now. As we'll get into today's upcoming games, as we got the Toronto Blue Jays going up against the Miami Marlins at 7:10 Eastern. That'll be a pretty exciting one. We also got the Milwaukee Brewers going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks. That'll be at 9:40 p.m. Eastern. And then this is a big one, the Los Angeles Dodgers going up against the San Diego Padres. That will be happening at 10:10 p.m. Eastern. So we got some exciting games coming up in the MLB world. So exciting games coming up, and we're getting through almost halfway of the season, almost near trade deadline, almost near the All-Star game. So it's a pretty exciting time there for the MLB.
Getting close to that for sure. So, man, I'll tell you what, we were able to get a lot of information out there in a very short time, right? I think this was another successful job here, man.
I think so too.
Yeah, man.
Another great episode for sure. This is Steel Flyers, your co-host, and we cover everything here, as you can see. And we're trying to bring you all the latest and greatest as best as we can. And thank you very much, Payton, for being the great host. Thank you. This was an awesome show. I love talking all sorts of sports, so I can't wait until the next one.
I agree. So check out the games. And just remember, folks, we'll see you out there on the field. Check it out. Thank you very much.